against you. Original.
One trial, one trial. Amami, me to Rika, the bar, we burano. Seven pesa is what you mako. Only to find you well, so dry. It's so dry, you. You broke your promise, and you don't can say you even for me. It's someone that's what I'm gonna tire me. It's someone that's what I'm gonna tire me. I could see fuck a spring no water. I'm kika ufachi na want you. Nase wakume bleed. Drop pain now no water. Akume upinchwe makume duro. Makume wati makume. The bar, one poop, one no. Semi pepe, to ma, got a jaso. Only to realize, the me trying to call it honor. Oh no, not me trying to free me chain. Atitia come, you broke your promise. Me too many, there's no one for me. Baby, everyone can trim me yellow card and sun. Son, I trim me red card. Baby, everyone can trim me yellow card and sun. Son, I trim me red card. Tia, ufa parana water. We am keka ufa riana wacho. Nasa wakume bleed ya. Drop pain now no water. Akume, upin trim akume duro. Makumbe, oh Makumbe, what's a Makumbe?
Hello. Mufanchamio na enede Muamanitia coronavirus na maya elite kakra. Ti mufanchame. I think say Sabre ye be fit to make na say no the mode of communication no be English. We will speak English today and maybe mix it a little bit with our local, language. Because this show, people are watching from all over the world. People from Zambia, Senegal, Liberia, Nigeria, United States here, UK, South Africa, Peru, UK, Brazil. A lot of the countries that I've visited, people are watching from there because I have friends, in a lot of countries. So, today, we are going to do two things here. One, we're going to talk about corruption and leadership. And then I have a friend who is well versed in leadership. He is a professor of leadership and management at Wisconsin, United States here. He will join us. He is in the name of Dr. Enoch Opokwenchi, and a very good friend of the Nsawam Adwojiri MP, Honorable Frank Ano Dombre. I think I got to know this professor through him, and he's been a very good friend and very smart man. That's why I'm bringing him here today. Frank Ano Dombre is also the Parliamentary Select Committee Chairman for Foreign Affairs. So all of us in abroad, if we get any matter and we channel through him, it goes straight to the minister and to the president. Another prayer is a very hard-working man, and I pray that the Nsawam Adwojiri guys will retain him as their MP. I also bring in a mining professional. I'm a miner, so I know a lot of mining guys, a lot of Ghanaian mining guys. One from Australia, and he's ready to talk about some mining issues in Ghana, especially our bauxite, how we've allowed the Chinese guys, to take over our bauxite. He is not interested in politicizing anything, but he's coming to talk about fact. FireOne Radio is all about fact, so we are going to talk about it. Before then, let me make some few announcements. If you have anything that you want us to advertise for you, for the first 1 month is free. Free. Nothing, free. So I think I forgot to announce it last week, but my people have prompted me that no, I need to make this announcement for people to also enjoy our free offer to Ghanaians from all over the world, not only in the United States. This studio is purposely to put the government on its toes. Not only MPP government, any government that will come after, we will put that government on its toes. As far as we are alive and we have the strength to talk, we will talk. Because we believe that those in the diaspora, we can make things better. We can make things better for the nation. And we need to talk. Because if you're in Ghana and you talk right now, you put yourself into trouble. But I can talk. Nobody can do me foco. I will talk. So that's it. So we are here to serve Ghanaians from all over the world. If you have anything you want to advertise, if you have a business in Ghana you want to advertise, we are ready to do for you for free for 1 month. And after, we will see how things will go. Today, I think I should have shown some video. My good friend in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, Mrs. Barbara Forson and the husband Kelly Forson. I've known them from Takwa, all the way from Takwa Mines, Gold Force, and we've been friends for a long time. She has a homemade restaurant. Look, let me tell you, if you want ampesi, fufu, yaka, fried rice, anything. When she was in Ghana, she used to cook for the mining company. And the whites were eating her food and praising her. Brony to me, tafe de samu because of Barbara. So Moamuwa Phoenix, Arizona. I think I need to put the number here. Barbara Forsen is in Maricopa. Maricopa, they have their house in Maricopa. Maricopa is a very nice place in Phoenix that everybody would love to stay. That's where they are, but they do it from home and they take orders too. If you are doing wedding, funeral, anything, they take orders. The number is 520-840-1241. +1, of course. +1 520-840-1241. Mrs. Barbara Forsen. Please, if you have any orders, anything you want to do, please go ahead, and then your life will never be the same. I think I have Doc on the line. Doc is waiting with his nice white suit. I can see him from here, and I think I'll give you some small music, and then we come back to Doc. He's ready to talk about corruption as a whole, corruption in Africa, and then you come back to corruption in Ghana. Then we get close to some politics, and then we leave him. Maybe people may have some questions to ask him, but we will see how things will go. Then we bring in Richmond from Australia. It's dawn in Australia. It's about 3 a.m. in Australia, 3:45 a.m. I've got a hint that he's already awake, sucking his tea or coffee or something waiting for us. And he wants to let everybody across the world know that our bauxite is now in the hands of the Chinese nationals. Please give me some few minutes. I'll get back to you. Let's play some music. Prepare for. So is he ready? So.
Hold on, I'm watching you, so we can go ahead. Yeah. Yo, now we have Dr. Enoch Opoku Entry on the line. Doc, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, Solomon?
Yeah, hello.
Good afternoon. How are you?
We have Doc on the line. I can see him, but I think the volume. Let me just
increase your volume out there.
Doc, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Let's see. I think. Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. I can't hear Doc. So
Can you hear me now?
yeah, now I can hear you. Good, 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 good. Everything is in
All
place
right.
now. Good, Doc. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you? How is Colorado, the mountain city?
Oh, everything is going on well here. Yeah, we are managing the coronavirus with some pineapples and oranges and all that. So everything is okay.
That is awesome. In Wisconsin, we have cheese, and then we have the crackers.
Okay. Yeah, Doc. Ghanaians across the world want to know who you are. Can you talk a little bit about you before we proceed?
Solomon, the problem with me is that I don't want to talk about myself. For
A little
me,
bit, a little bit.
who I am is not as important as who the people are. I grew up in Koforidua, that's my city.
Okay.
In fact, my first 12 years, I was in Lomain, that is where my father was teaching. A village 7 miles away from Lomain called Abuabo number 4. That is where I had my primary school. Then I came back to my hometown, Asikore, where I went to middle school. Then I went to Ghana Secondary School, which is now Ghana High, Senior High School in Koforidua. And I had a distinction in my O level. Went to Opokuwari Senior High School to do my A level, and I was the dining hall prefect there. I went to yes, no food is leaving the hall, right?
Minta Kando.
So your good friend Bempa, who was the dining hall, who was the entertainment prefect, says I should say hi to you. He works at Anglo Gold in Obuasi.
Bempa.
Yes.
Bempa.
His guy name is Tebo.
Hey, Tebo. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We slept in the same room.
Oh, you know Tebo.
He's a very good friend.
It's a small world, though. Hey, Charlie.
Yeah, it is a small world. So I taught for 1 year at Gateko Preparatory School, went to UCC, where I did a lot of debates with Alote Jacobs. So I'm somebody everybody knows me. After that, I came back to Koforidua to show the morning show, host the morning show host at Eastern FM. So I was a media practitioner for a while. Then I worked with the German Technical Corporation, where I was a coordinator for the Bauxite region. So I was in charge of small water projects. And then late 2004, I came to US to do my master's and doctorate, all in leadership studies. So currently, I'm a professor of leadership and management.
I see. Great. So now we come out to talk about leadership and corruption. And we all know that is the problem we have in Africa and then Ghana, specifically Ghana. If you say someone is a leader, what does it mean?
You see, one thing about leadership is that it's just like you've been in US for about 10 years, you go home and your family asks you, how is US? You cannot summarize all your experiences in the United States for the past 10 years in just one word or one sentence. And that is how leadership is. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Like I said, when you go home and they ask you your past 10 years experience in US, and you want to summarize that in one line, you're going to make mistakes because a lot went into your experience for the past 10 years in US when you visit home in Ghana. That is exactly how leadership is. You cannot define leadership in just one line. It entails a lot, but simply one word that represents leadership is influence. And it is an individual ability to influence another individual or a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. And ironically, the same word influence is also true when we are defining corruption.
I see. I see. So people misuse leadership, the management. Can a good leader be a good manager as well?
There's a clear difference between a leader and a manager. Very clear differences. In fact, we have over 10 differences. Most managers manage the status quo. We came to meet things the way they are. We will manage it and leave the same as it is. But leaders challenges the status quo. They can dream further. They have vision, and they are very courageous in implementing their policies to the logical conclusion.
I see. So now, let's come to the real show for today. We talk about corruption. In your view and with your experience, what do you think are the causes of corruption?
Well, let me begin this way. The most classic and famous philosopher who talked about social influence was called René Descartes. And René Descartes said that cogito ergo sum. That means I think, therefore I am. Now, what it means is that thinking is the only certainty of truth. In other words, I exist in thinking. So Jesus asked the same to his disciples. What do people think I am? And we should ask ourselves as a country or continent in Africa, what do people think we are? Once we are able to answer some questions, we are halfway in meeting our objectives of understanding corruption. So when we talk about corruption, it's simply this. There are many definitions, there are many perspectives of it. But we have three ways of categorizing corruption. It is an accepted cultural practice. It is illegal, and it is kept secret. So anything that is accepted as a natural or cultural practice, which is illegal or kept secret, could be kept closer to corruption. So let's go to Africa and specifically Ghana. So when we come to Africa, corruption is categorized into many perspectives. It could be cultural, moral, ideological, political, or even religious. So let's see what other researchers have talked about corruption. Corruption, according to a guy called Maro, who did a research in 1995. Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, I think you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yes, corruption, according to Maro, is caused by poor institutional structures. And this former President Obama have talked a lot about it. When your institutional structures is poor, corruption is bound to happen. There's another guy called Pope. He said that low wages, complex government programs, and inadequate knowledge of citizens' rights causes corruption. Now, according to another guy called Lambsdorff, he says that government intervention in private sector activities causes corruption. So we have many ways of categorizing corruption. So let's look at the theory. The theory says that any rational individual chooses to become corrupt when an expected advantage of becoming corrupt outweighs the expected disadvantages of not becoming corrupt. And this theory is coming from the Graph and Punch. So what it means that if I live in a society and I'm corrupt and I can get more than not being corrupt, any rational person will shift to the way of being corrupt. So there's a guy, Kant, Immanuel Kant, who is one of the fathers or founders of ethics. He says that people don't speak their minds because it is simply easier not to. Not being candid is actually about self-interest, making your own life easier. So if you don't speak your mind, you destroy trust and in a way, ultimately destroy society. So those people who don't speak their minds about corruption are rather destroying our society. And let me tell you why you are so passionate about mining and everything. Because the Greek meaning of passion is suffering. So anything that you are passionate about, you suffer for it. Sometimes you even die for it. And that is why the movie The Passion of Christ, you can see that Christ died of his passion to save mankind. So in a nutshell, that is about corruption. Can you hear me still?
Encourage corrupt practices to, prevail in our society. These same corrupt guys hire some guys out there to insult those who speak the truth. And this makes it difficult for some of us to fight corruption, especially you, how gentle you are. I don't think you avail yourself for people to attack you. So in this case, what can we do to address corruption?
All right. It's not a matter of being gentle. I've always been carrying my own philosophy. And those who have been close to me know I stand for two things. I am very open and collaborative, very principled. But there are only two things that I hate: confusion, confusion, and confusion. So, drama brings confusion. And people who want to insult, it's not that they don't know what they are doing, but they need to be corrected. Now, does insult solve a problem? The answer is no. So we've been insulting ourselves since time immemorial. Has it solved any problem? No. So continue doing what you want to do. And last 2 years, I was on the pulse at Joy FM in Accra. I talked about having critical friends in our political parties. That is the only way forward. Because at the end of this program, I'm going to provide some solutions as to how we can solve our own problem. We need critical friends in our political parties that can help us. If we need to build roads, if we need to build bridges, if we need to build good schools, if we need to build good hospital system, we don't need an opposition party member to tell us to do that. We need members of our own political party to tell us to do that, so that at the end of the day, when we leave office, we will puff our chest out and say that, yes, we did it. So the reason why people are fighting and insulting is that people don't understand politics and policies and development of a country. Look, since 1992 that we diverted into democratic institutions in Ghana, we've had only two political parties, NPP and NDC, who have won over 95% of the votes cast. But you can tell from what I can see that people are complaining that they are all the same. The question is, are they really the same? Maybe the details will give us the meaning of what is happening there. Political party formation is just two forms of persuasion. And remember, leadership is just a service from the heart. You want to serve. So if you want to be an NDC member, you have your own philosophy of serving the country. So that is your way of persuading the populace that I want to serve the country doing A, B, C, and D. Now, on the other hand, those at MPP also want to serve the nation, and they want to tell the people how they will serve them. What is the fight about this? Then the other side is that there's a reason why somebody is an NDC, and there's a reason why somebody is an MPP. It's a matter of choice. And you cannot insult somebody based on choice. But Paul Kagame, who is really doing well in Rwanda, said this: tolerating corruption is a choice, not an instability. So he's trying to say that if you are corrupt as a country or a nation or continent, it's not a matter of choice. And it's not that you cannot say that it's inevitable. So let's see where the corruption is coming from and where the insult is coming from. As far back as 1975, we had a NIM commission. And the NIM commission said that what is causing corruption is our culture. So let's go back to our culture and see why our culture is really killing us in the way we see things. A part of our culture is gift giving. We are a society that says that you can never go to a chief empty-handed. So you go with some drinks. So we grew up understanding that you don't go to people empty-handed, you have to present a gift. Fair enough. Now, when people get into public service, they transcend the same culture of gift giving into gift demanding. So if they do something for you and you don't give them anything, that means you are weak. So they demand gift from you, and you giving me anything. So look at that. And anytime somebody is giving you something in exchange for a work or a favor, that is corruption. We also have a plagiarized society in Africa. And talking about plagiarism, that is why most African students, when they travel to the Western countries or America, they suffer from plagiarism because we always say, and baby say, and even the books are we do not quote anybody. So we tend to internalize that it is normal to quote people without citing the source. I want you to understand where our corruption is coming from. It is not politicians alone. Talk about pastors. Talk about elders. Now, your mother owes somebody. When the person is coming home to ask for the money from your mother will get into the room and tell you to tell the person that I'm not home. I'm not home. Now, what is your mother teaching you? To lie. Those who are selling fish at the market have put old clothes, they call it catering, under the fish so that it will look big for you to buy. Those are the abattoir who are selling meat, who add bones to it so that it will be many for you. Those who are selling gari at the market will make sure that they've damaged the thing that they are using to sell so that whatever they will give you will not be the full container that they are supposed to give to you. So we live in a situation where from the infancy, adulthood, the mindset is skewed into shortcut to make a living. And that is why those who really work hard doesn't pay. So those who are really working genuinely in Ghana, they are poor. And those who are not really working hard, but they cut corners and they take bribes, they have all the cars and they have all the big houses.
Very, very, very true.
And what do our society value? We value cars and houses. So if you don't have a car or a house, then you don't have a name.
You will not even get a girl.
But wherein comes the wisdom that all the Western countries are using to grow their country, what I call ideation. So everything that you see, the idea was first. That is why education is very important. The car that you want to ride, somebody drew the plan, designed it, had the idea first before you saw the physical car. The building that you see, somebody drew the plan, had a blueprint. That is why you see that beautiful building. And that is why I have a passion for education, because education has been part of every solution. So our culture has killed us because we are not doing the right thing. Now let me go to a couple of things that we can see from our culture. According to World Bank report from 2007 to 2017, and the US Department of State 2010 report, average of 36% of people have to pay bribe in Africa in doing business. Now, it says that those who want to do something in the informal sector, they pay about 23% in bribes just to get operating license. And those who want to meet IRS officials have to pay at least 18% in bribes. We have many reports. We have the Global Corruption Report. We have the Afrobarometer Report. We have the Revenue Watch Institute. We have the Transparency International. We have the Global Integrity Corruption Report. We have the Ghana Integrity Initiative. We have the Freedom House. We have the World Economic Forums. And all these indicators are saying that we are corrupt. So I go back to René Descartes, who said that cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore, I am. So, if every indicators are saying that we are corrupt, and that means that thinking is the only certainty of truth. In other words, we exist in our thinking. That means that we should accept that we are corrupt. And there's this man that I've been talking a lot about corruption. His name is Kwesi Boafo, who is very close to the president.
I know him very well.
He went to, yes, he went to Rwanda.
Rwanda, yes.
Yes, he went to Rwanda, and when he came back, he said that not only are we corrupt, but we are an abomination on this earth. I'm quoting the words of Kwesi Boafo, who is very close to the president that I am.
And he talks a lot.
So, yes, if you have all these resources and you are poor, then we have a problem, you see. But then, some people are NDC, some people are MPP, which is 95% of our population. So let's talk about what these two political parties have done. You talk about JIDA, Savannah Forestation in NDC, the SUBA. We have the Ghana scandal, Airbus, National Service Secretariat scandal. You remember the National Service Secretariat scandal? Dr. White, Mr. White, he was our mate when we were at NUS. He was, I think, the vice president of SRC at University of Ghana, second to Romado, and he became the director for National Service. It came to light that 7.9 million Ghana cedis was discovered by the ENI. They had put 22,612 ghost names in a paycheck, and they were collecting the money. We still have a special prosecutor. What has he done about all those things? So we also talk about institutions that doesn't work. Obama hammered on that. Any African country that he went to, that if the structures, the institutional structures are not working, I can tell you that there's nothing that is going to work. All the arms of government should work. So the executive is doing his work, the judiciaries are doing their work, the parliamentarians are also doing their work, and then the media should also do their work. I will talk about all these four major institutions and what they are not doing well. Now let's talk about MPP. We have the Ameridi scandal, we have the PDS scandal, the Kenny GVG scandal, we have the gas cylinder scandal. You have talked about the Galamsey fraud scandal and the premix fuel scandal. All these scandals have been there. And what have we done to solve the problem?
Yeah, the volume.
So let's,
Yeah, Doc.
the volume keeps fluctuating. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Doc. I think you omitted my Abubuya scandal. They flew to Burkina Faso, and then the excavators, 500 excavators, they flew to Cote d'Ivoire. So I think these are some of the basic corrupt practices, real daylight corruption that anybody can see in Ghana. Yet we have a president who goes around the whole world. He is fighting corruption. I don't know whether you understand our current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, whether he is fighting corruption or just tickling himself and laughing. I don't know what is going on. Do you because I mean you are the expert in corruption, leadership and management. Do you think our president is fighting corruption, real corruption, or fighting with his mouth?
Most of the things that we've seen about corruption in Ghana, and you asking about the current president, it's all about perception. Now, if you have facts about these things that we've talked about, I think Ghana is a very transparent system that people can take these issues to court and then raise red flags that these are the issues that is going on and we need to talk about that. I have heard many stories and many theories about the president being a clearing officer, clearing some of these issues, but you cannot prosecute somebody on corruption based on mere allegation that this person is corrupt. We need to establish the fact. If you go to court, a chunk of whatever is used to make a judgment is based on evidence. So if people have evidence, then we go to the institutions that are supposed to bring it to the core and question the powers that be that ABC happened. What have we done? So we've talked about all these scandals about NDC and MPP. What are the courts doing? So the judiciary arm of the government, what are they doing? You and I can sit on radio. In fact, I have done radio job before, and I've told you. I have done morning show host. And you can talk for a whole year. Do the problems get fixed? No, the institutions that are supposed to work to make sure the system works so that everybody will be at peace, so that the country will move on, they are not working. And that is why we keep running in cycle. So yes, you can talk about some of all these things, but who have gone to court about it? Who has sent these cases to courts, and the courts have really called the case, and then the government is saying that, okay, we are bringing our Attorney General to represent us. These are the facts. We did not do A, B, C, as the public is saying. Nobody has been able to do that. And then we have all the institutions in our world that are supposed to be working to bring the government to book, if indeed these allegations are true. Because we need a fact to prosecute the cases. You cannot sit here behind your computers or behind your home and say that this person is corrupt, this person is corrupt, but all the lists that you are listing, who has investigated them and who has prosecuted them? It is only when we push forward with investigation and prosecution that we can really send people to jail on these issues.
Doc, if I can come in here, let's take this excavators. I'm interested in the excavators.
Okay.
It comes from the mind. The minister himself on national TV said the excavators have been missing. So the question is, who superintended that missing of excavators? How did the excavators got missing? are some of the
Okay.
things that we don't need an individual to take action. It is the government that is supposed to investigate, send those responsible people to court, and make sure that the law takes its course. But this government
So
is doing
Solomon,
nothing about something.
I understand your question very well. Who is the government?
The same MPP government, and then the minister is part of the government.
If you define government as MPP,
No, I'm talking
then
about
those who are expert in
the
governance.
the group of people ruling the country right now.
Okay, now you've redeemed yourself.
I know who I'm talking to. I understand.
So governance or government is not about democracy, which is government of the people, by the people, for the people. I remember when I was in the university, I said that Abraham Lincoln's definition of governance, I do not agree. Because I think governance is a system that makes people make their own mistakes and suffer the consequence. So what is our system? What mistakes are we making? What consequences are we suffering? And like you said, if the minister himself came on air, I did not listen to that. He said that, yes, the calculators are missing. And then somebody went further, and that is the job of the media, to find out that indeed they were missing, and they found some with the minister. There were even allegations that the minister himself had some people doing galamsey for him. These were allegations. If there is a proof of that, there should be media people who should follow that, because they are the voices of the people. Send it to court. Of course, the judiciary are supposed to do their job, and then send the person to jail to serve as a deterrent for every minister to see that you came to serve, you are not supposed to make any gain for yourself, because that will amount to corruption.
Yeah, Doc, are you on the line?
I am here.
Okay, so now you can continue with your 4 basic types of corruption. You were talking about.
All right, so let's see some of the causes of corruption.
Yeah.
According to research in Africa, mismanagement is one of the causes of corruption. Embezzlement, dishonesty, lack of transparency, unaccountability, irresponsibility, and then indiscipline. So if you can bring all these words together, if you mismanage wherever you find yourself, you don't have to be in government. You can be in public sector, you can be a teacher, you can be a pastor, if you can be even in your home. If you are mismanaging the resources you have, that is corruption. If you are embezzling funds, if you are dishonest, lack of transparency, unaccountability, irresponsibility, and then the big one here is if you are not disciplined, then you are corrupt. And I remember former Vice President Ali Mahama. He was a very good friend. In fact, I lost 2 friends in MPP, Vice President, no, 3, who were very close to me. And that is why I've been very quiet. The first one was Vice President Ali Mahama. One thing that I learned from him, if you go to his office, anything that you ask him, you call the person involved, say, hey, somebody is coming there, help him with whatever he wants to do. He will not sit on an issue, but he will work on it immediately.
Sure.
He talked about indiscipline in our country. He had Obraford to compose a song about indiscipline in our society, where people pee everywhere, they poop everywhere, they throw rubbish everywhere. That kind of indiscipline. What happened to it? Then I had another one, Jacobe Lampe. He's also gone. There was another one who was a very close friend to his name was Achulewo.
Achulewo, yeah.
And then he's also no more. So sometimes I tell myself, good people don't live longer.
Sure.
But in our way of life, let me list 10 ways, according to all the research, what I found that is causing corruption in Ghana. The first one, according to the research, is that there's a traditional values that conflict with requirements for modern secular way of life. So our traditions is corrupt. We have to look at that. The second one is poverty. The third one is disrespect for regulations or legal requirements. People do not obey the laws. You live in America, you know how religiously you have to follow the laws. If you have to drive 45 miles an hour, you need to. You don't have a choice. If you are a governor and you are caught over speeding, you'll be given the same ticket as somebody who is a cleaner.
Yep, the same ticket, yep.
So the system is fair here. And this is where I have other problems with institution. We call something diplomacy, where people are given protocol. Admissions people have protocol. Jobs people have protocols. That brings corruption. So where is the even playing field that everybody can go look for a job? In our system, you need to know somebody before you go for a job. There is one thing I've learned from my history. The UGCC found out that Nkrumah was really good. He was studying in America here. They came for him to be their secretary. How many of our leaders now look for Ghanaians who are really doing well in other countries and say that, hey, come home and help us? They're not. But you see, anytime you stay in another country and you go back to your country, there are many blind spots that they don't see because things have been normalized. That you can point out that this is wrong, let's fix it. When there are good roads, it's not for NDC or MPP alone. We all enjoy it. When there are good hospitals, you don't need a minister to get sick and fly that person to abroad to be treated. When there are good schools, we need to train our kids home. They can be more innovative and hands-on and evidence-based and help our country. So I don't know why people play politics with everything, because guess what? Wallace, who is the founder of NDC, and Nanadu, who is the president coming from MPP party, they are close friends. So why would people from MPP and NDC fight? Why? If you really want to serve, why would you want to fight among yourself? So let me go to another one. The source of corruption. Indiscipline.
Yeah, Doc.
I've already talked about that.
Yeah, Doc, before you continue with the indiscipline, let me pass some announcement here real quick.
Okay.
Listeners and viewers, I've seen that a lot of people are calling in. We've not opened the lines yet. We'll open the lines for you to contribute. I will let you know ahead of time, and then you can call in to contribute. But for now, let's allow Doc to flow and also bring in Richmond Aholu from Australia to also come and flow before we open the line. I don't know whether maybe Doc can stay for long or maybe...
Yeah, I can do it. I'm fine with that because this is for our nation.
Thank you so much.
I flow very well with the Q&A, the question and answer. So if anybody want to call in, that's fine. I'm not somebody who like a structured speech or something like that. You know, I am multitask in many areas. So you just give me a call or call and ask a question, and I can digress to talk about that.
Sure.
So let me list exactly what.
After this, some people will call you privately to ask some.
Yeah, let them call and ask questions. It's very important.
Sure. Because,
so,
you know,
in discipline, I've explained.
Doc, Ghana, we are proud to have somebody like you. Looking at your background and then where you are right now, I think you are one of the people who can help us to fight corruption. Not corruption, like you said, staying in your home, sitting behind your computer and fighting, but we can fight it from abroad. And some people are ready, but the means is the problem. So I believe you will be one of the people who can lead, you know, the youth to fight corruption. Before you come in, let me pass this announcement and then we move on. Listeners, next week we're going to talk about the voters register. There's a whole lot of confusion in this register matter, and we will have Mr. Jacob Osei-Yeboah, who is the independent presidential candidate in Ghana. He will come. I think his expertise, his professional expertise, is on data management. So he will talk in detail about compilation of register. And then we will have another important person, Mr. Sami Demfi. We are working out to get him on board next week. and then he will come and also talk about the political aspect of the register. I think he performed very well this morning on Adum TV, and that has prompted us to bring him on board to come and explain things to Ghanaians why he thinks we shouldn't, compile the new register. We will talk about it. And next 2 weeks, that is June 6th. Next week is May 30th. June 6th, we have Dr. Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress in Kabum. Dr. Hassan Ayariga will come and open fire on the new register. And then we also have, I think Dr. Hassan Ayariga is against the register, and we will have Mr. Kofi Apalu, LPG, presidential candidate, Someha, Nesomeha. He will also be here. And then fire. So you see them, like the way you are seeing Doc on the screen live, you see both of them on the screen live, and then they will be throwing why, we should compile the register, for and against. That will be very interesting. So these are the two basic announcements that I have. But then, as you are going on, we will pass more announcements. Doc, now you can continue with the indiscipline.
Yes, indiscipline is one of the forms of corruption. The improper policies. Most of our policies are outdated. And I will talk about the presidential commission that former President Mills set up and why that was really important. That was an avenue for us to move into proper policies. Two things that is killing us. Our constitution really need an update. The 1992 constitution, there's something in leadership that says that the old right thing could become the new wrong thing. So we have a situation where situations in 1992 have changed, and that we needed that kind of constitutional review. So there was a commission formed on Monday, January 12, 2010 by ex-President Mills. And he had this guy whose name was Professor Albert Fiajo. He was an emeritus professor of law at one of the universities. And then that man came, he worked with some of the chiefs and some consultants, and they had a very constitutional review recommendation to President Mahama, ex-President Mahama. You know what ex-President Mahama did? He issued a white paper report that some of those commission recommendations will not be implemented. And when I finish talking about some of the causes of corruption, I will talk about why we missed the bus there. So I've talked about improper policies. The next one is unqualified or unmotivated political leadership personnel. You have many square pegs in round holes. You have many political leaders. Somebody did medicine, and that person is in education as a minister.
Yes.
Somebody did accounting. An accountant, a chartered accountant, is a minister of national security. If you have your own national security firm, would you employ a chartered accountant to be a director there for you?
Oh, you mean my own uncle Kandaba?
Yes.
I see.
So you have square pegs in round holes in Africa. If you don't qualify in that field, they shouldn't make you a minister in that field.
But
I understand that they are ministers, then you have the technocrats who do their jobs.
Yeah,
but look, if you have somebody who has in-depth knowledge of that field,
ministerial positions are just managerial positions, and you don't need technical people.
that is what I'm saying. That is where I'm coming from. That is wrong.
Very good.
You are a leader of that sector. We have the technocrats that are working, but the technocrats, their boss is the minister. So it doesn't matter what the technocrats do. If the minister is not going to accept your policy, that's not how things are going to work.
Very good.
If you have national security and people who are experts in national security, don't bring a chartered accountant to be a minister there. It's wrong. You know, in any advanced country, in Europe and America, you need to be an expert in that field before they put you there. It makes the work easier.
Very good.
Because you can read meaning to everything that they put out there.
And you
I mean,
even understand the language.
Solomon,
The
this is
when
not
they
rocket
say
science.
something, you
I don't know
understand.
why we don't understand some of these simple things in Africa. You don't need to
Yep.
have a PhD to do this. It's easy as possible that get people who are qualified. Why are we not getting other people who are, pharmacists and other things to be at Attorney General Department? Why are we
Very
having
good.
lawyers and attorneys there?
Very
Because
good.
they are our
The
assets.
finance.
In the same way, education and other ministries get the experts there. And stop thinking about these are political, grassroots people who have their political parties. Get another job that they also qualify for them. In fact, I sit here and I cry every day. The thing that we see in America, anywhere that I've been to conferences and done, I have traveled a lot and done many presentations.
God
We
bless
can
you.
do that easily. What the Chinese are doing is that when they cannot innovate, they copy. All the African wear that we wear in Ghana and other African countries, the Chinese are producing the same and shipping them to Amazon.
Sure.
The Chinese are very smart in copying from other countries. They cannot innovate. Why can't we copy the same thing?
Doc, you've made my day. You've made my day today. Hi. You see.
All right.
Doc,
So we go and talk about.
Doc, let me check.
Go ahead.
Here. You see, we have people like you who have seen the truth, who know that. Look, we can do this thing better if we put the right people there. You see, when Solomon also talks, they say Solomon is a controversial person. But I speak the truth. So we need people like you to also come up and then, tell the truth to the people. Somebody has not even traveled to Togo before. Somebody has not even traveled to Cote d'Ivoire. A lot of people have not crossed the borders. But if we talk, they think we are just making noise. And then one aspect of the whole thing is, look, you are talking about square pegs in round holes. The technocrats who are supposed to engage themselves in politics, and then at the end of the day, they get appointed and then steer their affairs. They go around saying they don't like politics. Let's leave the politics for the politicians. Who are the politicians? The same grassroots people who engage themselves in politics, they are the same people they appoint to head our institutions, to head our ministries. And that is a fact. Look, if you engage yourself, of course, you will get some insults. People will insult you left, right, center. But that shouldn't deter us from speaking the truth and making sure our country back home is on its feet. Now look at some of the people that are appointed to head certain institutions. Sometimes you feel like vomiting. But they should be there because they fought for the party. Doc, you continue.
Yeah, Solomon, you're making a point. What I'm trying to say is that it's good to reward people who help you to be in a political position. That I understand. But you need experts in different ministries who can manage the place and then allow the technocrats to do their job. Most of these technocrats are afraid of the ministers because if you speak your mind, they will kick you out. Yes, and because they have families to feed, they need to be quiet and do their job. We also have a situation where we have ineffective supervision. So monitoring and evaluation is very poor in our land, and that is why people do whatever they want. We also have lack of transparency and accountability. We all know about the Procurement Act. We all know about a lot of deals that goes into awarding contracts. We know that the Whistleblower Act is not working. So we have lack of transparency and accountability in a lot of things that we do. And that is why you accuse previous governments of shredding or covering up some of these scandals. We also have inadequate salaries for public officials. That is also one of the problems causing corruption in our country. You have a matron who is being paid 1,100 Ghana cedis a month. That same matron is being given about 3,000 Ghana cedis to go to the market and buy food stuff for the student. That person is tempted to steal some of the money because the money he or she is working with is far 10 times better than what he or she is being paid at the end of the month. So according to the research, if we pay public officials very well, and then the question is that, are they also being productive? Because I will talk about World Bank money, International Monetary Fund loan that we are getting. And I will talk about the president policy of Ghana Beyond Aid. If you are collecting money, which is a loan from another institution, in fact, I have many MBAs that will tell me that, Dr. E, Africans think that we throw money at problems. It doesn't work that way. And when the World Bank and IMF is giving money to Africa, they think that they are just throwing money at problems, because we are going to squander the money, use that money to pay salaries, and then come back again for another loan. So you have a situation where an institution like Kolebu Hospital or Kompanoche Hospital, they do not generate any money. I'll talk about that, other institutions and what we have to do. So we need to work on that. Then we have contempt for constitutional requirements. Contempt for constitutional requirements. There are many situations where people do not obey the law. And at the end of the day, when you go to court, nothing happens. They will keep postponing the case. Come June 1st, come September, come the next year. And one case, they will sit on it for a long time. So let me sum it all in this way. Leadership is too important to be left to leaders alone. We need followers to help the leaders. And according to all the research that I've found, 80% of leadership is followership. So why do we allow just the 20% to control the 80%? We need to be thinking about that. The second one is that every leader leads in anticipation of what their followers want. So if you have President Akufo-Addo, he is leading in anticipation of what his people, what he thinks Ghanaians want. If you have Donald Trump in America, he is leading in anticipation of what he thinks Americans want. If you're looking at Boris Johnson, he is leading in a way he thinks of what the British people want. So the question is, what do Ghanaians want? Tell your leaders. You hide them. They are supposed to serve you. Force them to do that thing for you. It's that simple. If the 80% will sit down to be docile, for the 20% to control everything, then Houston again will have a problem. The other thing is that it is lonely at the top. The president cannot do it all. He needs those who are appointed as ministers and into various departments to help him. What are they doing? I can tell you that in Akufo-Addo's government, out of the over 120 ministers, not more than 20 are working.
they are sleeping.
It's a fact, unless nobody wants to accept the fact.
No, Doc, we can
the president is doing everything himself. What are those ministers and the many deputies, what are they doing? Yes, you wanted to ask me a question. Go ahead.
No, I said you can even see it in Parliament. They go there to sleep. A great minister, finance minister, all of them, they go there and sleep. So imagine Parliament, that debate is going on. They are sleeping there. What about their offices? They are just there sleeping.
So, yes, so if
they are just sleeping.
I don't want to mention this, but what I'm saying is that we have a situation where we need to rethink about what we want. If I was to be a president of Ghana, no member of parliament will run more than 8 years. You go second time like the president, and that is it. You give chance to another person to come and then serve. I don't know why people in Africa want to make politics as a career. It is not. You are just going to serve. But we even have a situation where others don't want other people to contest them. When they contested other people.
Right now.
When they contested other people, so if somebody had not allowed you to contest them, would you have been dead now? So it's really interesting the way we see things. And it's because that, as Sushi said, that it is not power that corrupts people, but the fear of losing power also corrupts people.
Because
so some people are afraid to lose power. If you came to serve from your heart, why should you be afraid of losing power? Why should you even be afraid of somebody contesting? And that is Africa for you. So that is interesting.
You see, Doc,
now the next thing is that
Doc, unfortunately, those who contested some sitting MPs and won. They are the same people who don't want others to contest them. It's very strange.
That's my point.
Anyway, before you continue, let me pass this announcement. Now, Doc is about to finish. I think he has passed 1 hour. And I'll open the lines for you to ask few questions. If you have any question for Doc, you call in. If you are outside United States, you add the +1 or 001. But if you are here, 303 800 6277. 303 800 6277. You can call in and then ask few questions. As Doc is about to complete what he's talking about. Doc, please, you can.
All right, so Solomon, what I started talking about, ex-President Mills, the commissions that he set up for constitutional review, and the white paper that ex-President John Mahama said that we're not going to implement that. You know that what he missed?
No.
That was an opportunity for the National Development Planning Commission to come out of long-termism. And because Africans would think short-term, that's our problem too. So the long-term, the National Development Planning Commission was going to plan the country. Because we have not planned anything, everything is left in Africa. We keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. So it's easy for the National Development Planning Commission to plan for the country as an institution. They have a legal ally that is protecting them. I'm talking about Article 86 and 87 of the 1992 Constitution. But unfortunately, they are also part of the executive. And the chairman is appointed by the president. There's supposed to be a Minister of Finance in the same National Development Planning Commission. So what is the long-term aspect of it? That when that president leaves, the next president also bring another person. And that is also another problem. From the public toilet to the ministry, everybody is changed when there's a new government because the institutions are not working. The last thing that I want to talk about is the current president have instituted an organization called SIGA, State Interest and Governance Authority, and that is Act 2019. They are supposed to oversee Ghana's state interests. Now let me list a couple of them that SIGA is going to work on. We have the Social Investment Fund, National Mortgage and Housing Funds. We have the Electricity Company of Ghana, Ghana Grid Company, Bulk Oil and Storage, Tamawa Refinery, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Fish Company Limited, Gihon Distilleries, Ghana Cocoa Board, Ghana Port, GBC, GNA, Ghana Housing, Ghana Water Company, Ghana Ports and Harbor, Ashanti Anglo Group. Look at these numerous organizations that government is either owning or have major interests. Solomon, the question is, what do they bring to Ghanaians? All these institutions, government institutions, what income do they bring to government? If they are working well, we don't need to go and borrow money from another country. So we should be thinking about that and then see what we can do for our country. So in a nutshell, after 63 years of independence, we don't have a long-term planning. And because of that, every government comes to initiate their own policy. The other government comes and abandon everything. Rawlings had many cars and other things that were left rotten. Kufuor had buildings that were left rotten. Mills had projects that were left there. Mahama had his own projects that were left rotten. Now, MPP, when they leave, they also leave a project that the next government will not come and follow. All taxpayers' money, and we are a poor country. And when we have projects that are uncompleted, then we are doing harm to ourselves. So the people should stand up. We should have a national policy. Every policy initiated by the previous government should be completed by the incoming government, because it is our money that was used for. If you think that the contract was overbloated and the amount is higher than that was quoted, all back those people, they have not traveled out of the country or they are not there. Bring them, use the cost, and bring them to book. The last thing is the media, because I have always been a media practitioner. The media is supposed to be the voice of the people. enough of bringing people who are not expected to talk on our media. If you go to Rwanda, politicians don't talk on radio. What they do is that if it is on health, they bring medical doctors to talk about that. If it is on leadership, they bring leadership experts to talk about that. As a public servant or politician, you're just supposed to be working. In our case, every radio station, every morning, you call politicians to talk about issues when they are not even experts. So let's look at that. The last thing that I want to talk about is that we should have a national policy. One, we need a situation where we can have our own credit agency like S&P to credit ourselves. Enough of other foreign companies dictating everything for us. So we should be thinking about that. And then we should have a policy called Me Ghana. Me Ghana means Ghana is me. What can I do to help my country? Every last Friday of every month, as is done in Kigali, every Ghanaian should pick their asses and hoe and cutlasses and machetes, and we should begin to clean our country. Me Ghana means that Ghana is me. And that when I make Ghana clean, when I make Ghana progress, I will enjoy the fruits of that labor. When we begin to do that, our country will flourish. Some of us don't need to be in other countries. We need to be home and be helping our country with our knowledge and wisdom. Because our elders say, when the soup is sweet, we all enjoy it. So that is my point. Anybody can call and ask me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. When the soup is sweet, you all enjoy it. I have a question for you here, Doc. You know, we are in the United States here, and we see that our politicians come here to borrow money from the IMF and all that, World Bank and all that, and then they go and misuse the money. Sometimes you hear about the cost of some projects. You ask yourself, why? For example, this COVID-19, this is a typical example. This COVID-19 that they said they were quarantining people, and then those people would be in hotels that cost $500 a night and all that. Look, you and I travel a lot within United States, and then we travel outside too. $500 a month for a hotel. Come on, I don't know if
Solomon, you see, one thing is that when you have free money, you spend it. And those organizations, IMF and the World Bank, that have been giving us money, they have failed us.
Oh yes.
They have taken our brains away from us. Because when somebody helps you provide food, clothing, and shelter, that person has taken your thinking away from you. And that is why Africa keeps running in circles. You sit on gold and you are hungry. You sit on water and you don't have water. In fact, when I work with Adra on a project, and that project with USAID, we were supposed to build acacia to protect the Densu River because it gets dry during the dry season. The Densu River supply all eastern region and most part of Accra.
Yeah,
The white man realized that in the dry season, the river dries and the people there in a Delta area in most part of eastern region don't have water to drink. But we were sitting there not doing anything about that. You know what they did? They did food for work. They give you a bag of rice and then you plant 1 acre of acacia tree. We were sitting down, not thinking about that. But any money given to us, look at the way we misuse the money. So if the president says that we are beyond aid, I understand. But look at, you have a family. Let's say you have 5 brothers. The young guy is always a problem to the family. So everybody will be tipping them, that young brother, get this money, get this clothing, get this, that. And one day that younger brother says that I am beyond your kids. I don't need it anymore. That is exactly what the president is saying, that look, we are no more going for handout. We don't want to be a scar on the wall again. We generate our own revenue and live as a dignified citizens. And that means that we should do a couple of things. Think about the informal sector, which is 65%, the artisans. the carpenters, the tailors, the everybody. How do we generate revenue from them so that we can build our institutions? And like I talk about SIGA, all these government institutions, how do they generate income and revenue for our country? The last thing I want to talk about is that from the research I did in Ghana's parliament, which formed part of my thesis, my doctoral thesis about corruption, people's expectation of our leaders corrupt them. We expect politicians to donate during weddings, to donate during engagement, to be chairman at church meetings and gatherings, to be giving big money at funeral. And all these expectations corrupt these political leaders. If we will not expect them to give them money, and somebody brings you money, 50 Ghana cedi, 100 Ghana cedis, tell that leader that, hey, go use that money to build a road. Go use that money to build a bridge. Because when the soup is sweet, we all enjoy it. Instead of thinking about your pocket alone. Because our people think about only tomorrow. Now look, when you eat it, the person who is thinking about tomorrow is not thinking. But the person who is thinking about the next 10, 20 years is the one thinking. We need leaders who will be thinking like that for our people.
Anyway, Doc, I think you've done a lot. We plan to take some questions, but because of time, and then the fact that we will interview our good friend from Australia, I think, Doc, we will run up here, and then if we get any questions concerning corruption, I will let you know, and if possible, get one-on-one meeting with those people who call in, and then maybe.
All right. I want to say thank you for hosting me, and have a very blessed day.
Thank you so much, Doc. That is Dr. Enoch Opokwentry. He is a professor of leadership and management from Wisconsin University. From a university in Wisconsin, sorry. He's one of the professors there, few Ghanaian professors in Wisconsin. And I have another good friend there, Dr. Grace Bando. Yeah, I think she's listening right now. She's also a professor in medical something. So I think Ghanaians, we have very good people in Wisconsin. Doc, I think we will call you again in another time, and then maybe you can come and then elaborate more on leadership and corruption for us. Thank you so much, and may the good Lord bless you. Now we will move on to Australia, Bauxite. And I believe our brother Aholu is waiting for us. We will connect him right now, and then we can talk about mining. How the Chinese guys, these Chinese guys sometimes, they are everywhere, from gold to bauxite. Now they are mining the gold, and they are entering into the bauxite. And the government is assisting them to corrupt the system. And that is the fact. My brother is coming to talk about it. I've decided not to talk now. I will invite people to come and talk, so that Ghanaians will know that I'm not the only person fighting, this corruption and then this mining brouhaha here and there, Chinese here and there, Chinese here and there, mining, polluting our water bodies, degrading our environment, left, right, center, and sending the money back to China. Can you imagine last year, a Chinese lady was arrested for money laundering? $313 million money laundering, just one Chinese person, just one Chinese lady. And we have over 60,000 Chinese guys in Ghana doing all sort of businesses, galamsey, and all sort of businesses. How much are they sending back to China in a year? And we go and borrow $2 billion, and they bond you 100 years. 100 years. Then you come and tell me Ghana beyond aid. You are beyond aid, but you've been bonded 100 years for $2 billion. The same Chinese people went to Tanzania
And then Magafuli told them, only a drunkard will sign this deal. They were giving him 10 billion, not even 2 billion, 10 billion. Yeah, Magafuli. And he said, only a drunkard will sign that deal. Are we kidding? I think we need to get Richmond on the line very soon. We are working to bring him on board. And before we continue, I think maybe let me play some small music for a few minutes, and then we bring Richmond on board. As you are waiting for Richmond to come online, maybe we will show some few videos about some mining issues in Ghana, and I think Richmond will be here as soon as possible. Yeah, I think I can see some signal right now. So yeah, let's just watch some videos.
They just this is a really good.
We bring Richmond on the line. Yo, yeah, try video no. Mami mbo fire kakra. Yeah, fambra ye local language. Minu ano Ghana baby a yedu no ayetin. Minu ano baby asisi a yedu o Ghana no edu ani bresem. Enyam kwalade because aban we eye ekufu ado aban. Ye mine ne nsensem no baby edu no etan. Galamsey started here na kofu bebre munja omo en fire ho ene from gold no e bauxite o wo mo ton ye bauxite na ma China fo nyina o mumien trans ne enwe say the next 100 years na ye de bond atoto ye so Ghana no ye endru no na ye ko I'll be 42 this September. Embracing I come him. Embracing and then won't be ya. Who better sorry one in that not him now. Who better sorry now. And this is here ya did born about to see 100 years never cry. Me abiti we no man 30 years. It be cry 72 wo baby na akokra call. Yamba ni nana num. Yamba our kiss and grand kiss. A go forward to the bond that forms so 100 years. Bauxite. 100 years. Okoka, yes, o kasabudo. Okoka, yes, and chassis. Aden and about 3 tenasi. Now, uko sign deal 100 years. Aden 100 years. Now, Okufaro account in fear sama, what will fear assassin. Or Safumafu account fear saying, just all your own me, okay, your old baby, and one day, okay, dachi. Okay, your baby, ne. Dachi, okay, dachi. Say, dachi nya ye penny for no, out. Dachi ye nana no ne emba, ye nana no dachi no, nyam penny, a kufa do aban ye banya. Aban ben aba, Ghana, President Mahama, one sign 50 years be a crowder. Kufuor, President Mills, President Rawlings, Obianco side, President Kufuor also now give on my home. What's yet to see castle so comedy? Yet to see castle. Ghana beyond aid. Brofo kesi wo wiase nyina Akufo. Brofo kwa. Wako sign 100 years. Say China for metna Ghana entry Bauxite 100 years. How? Na motiwo mo se me na me MPP me defend it. Defend it. Yamba na nanom na ebebre. China above for Biano also Tassa deal, sister, stupid deal. America. Me say a stupid deal, 100 years. The whole world, one of our concerns are in Kwasi Seminole. Say a Bauxite 100 years. Mania brio. Mania brain and then come Caribbean Sana me banker and yes and papa. Now and then over my tare Kokoya say some private burial be a koye Bronibia. Minimna, say corona be a chino, said the medium who pity and say, Oko. So I'm so dear and fast. The corona mocha class and me by internet be late cacram. Now, Nipa yet 1 year wood team. Bonia Micas and yes, was sure dear coach near dear to say, but when you now what you walk a kufa to show age, 80 years. What was 100 years? Now, count your sign 10 years, be crying castle, Ebia Ubenia do 90 years. Near Echoes are now Ubenia 100 years. Asan, what was 100 years? Eddie at all, Ube Wako, near money and anonum, Abebre. Yakoka, not pen pipi, so a communicator, not quite 50 Ghana, 100 Ghana, Aqua radio, so no can't quasi assem. Some of us here, Casa Moon Trasna Muntie, we are in the mining profession, we know what's going on. How so uko turn your Bauxite ma China for 100 years? Yako kan musem montias ye. Richmond Urbana. Me person on the be fire ni. Me say gold. Me area you gold. Gold. And I made them come wasem. No become Bauxite. Richmond so nye say why you. Why MPP ni mapa. Australia, MPP Australia on the first vice chairman. Ewo Australia or say in some beer the he about the camp. It's about time I yengi politics in Tunchain. It's about time I yengi politics and from Tunchain. Why should you go and sell our Bauxite to Chinese people for 100 years? 2 billion because of $2 billion. Because of $2 billion. Many signal said Richmond about. The Richmond Abbey will switch to English. We speak English, but there will still be fireworks. You be after Richmond because a jacket many abre. Aha, the man is here. Over the name the black no crowd to say why already said or the Jabatum. My brother. Oh, is he ready?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Richmond, how's everything going there?
Oh, I had a boko. So I own him. Ahomatinti. Menim,
I'm watching me. Him say above
my
say
sleeping place.
four. Now I'm watching crying when him a first ano. Hey, Charlie,
Oh, now
Australia they
where
new.
Masoya Numsianum coffee.
To tree because of the media we are on now. I have a lot of whites watching, especially they've watched the corruption and they want to watch the bauxite too because some people are interested in knowing the mining issues in Ghana. So we have Mr. Richmond Aholu. He is a director of Neofields Company Limited in Perth, Australia. And then also in the political space, he is the MPP Australia first vice chairman of MPP Australia, Mr. Richmond Aholu, and he has hosted whole
Solo,
lot of
you have correction, Kakao. The actual title,
Treja Tum, Mame.
the actual title is acting.
Acting MPP
Acting.
USA,
Yeah,
MPP Australia
I'm
first vice chair.
acting. Yeah, I'm acting behind Paul Boama, who is the chairman, in the
Mm-hmm.
absence of the first vice and in the absence of elections being held. No, Mimi acting in aid, assisting Paul Boama, who was the chairman then, but it's on resign. So at the minute, there was still meta.
Paul
Yeah, there's the
Boamano,
COVID
I've heard say
19.
Wakoji post for Ghana. First vice chair, so Omu nyina Wakoji post. Omu dwane akotena Ghana. Wona
Oh,
run show no.
again,
Aba
point
fronti
of
ase basa.
correction.
Omu nyina
Again,
Wakoji
point of
post for Ghana
correction.
and omu tete Ghana. Meboa.
Again, Mami Trust here.
Chichi.
Paul Boama is the guy that took over from the chairman himself. Chairman Nagasana, Ghana. He got a political appointment in Ghana.
Mhm.
Now, Paul no, was then handed over the power. In the
Mhm.
absence of the first vice, no, I assume I was confirmed as acting in the interest
Okay.
of the party. Indeed. Saa na ɛkɔyɛ. Nti chairman Ankasa, who is now the ex-chairman, no, ɔno na ɛwɔ Ghana. But
I
Paul
see.
deɛ ɔwɔ ha.
Okay. Good. Now I think because of time we'll go straight to the issues on the table. I I know I've known you to be someone who works with the bauxite industry, like in terms of construction, building of plants, and all that. That is your area, and you own your own company doing that in Australia. And you started this business way back in the 90s, not now. So you are well vested in bauxite, and you have read a lot about the bauxite in Ghana, and you have followed the bauxite in Ghana like the way I have followed the gold. You have followed the bauxite for a long time, and I believe that you can educate Ghanaians, tell Ghanaians the truth, and how this government has sold our bauxite to the Chinese guys. Now, Mr. Holu, in your view, do you think that the 100 years bond on our bauxite for, is it Sanohydro or something, do you agree with the government for taking that decision?
Well, well, it's a political decision, so it's very difficult to say whether a decision is a right decision
Wait. I
or a
know
wrong
you are
decision.
an MPP person and you will not be happy to maybe, disgrace your government or something. But I need the truth, my brother. The gospel truth. FireOne Radio is about truth. And then also, can you amplify your volume a bit for us?
Okay. Abba.
The volume is okay now.
Okay. And I make I say, me tea afra
No,
brokono.
Um,
Yes, yes.
okay, you can mix the tree and the English, but there are a lot of people also watching that they are not Ghanaians. That's why I wanted to start with
Okay.
English and
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
mix
It's
the tree.
like I'm saying, it's a political decision. It's not a decision made on behalf of Ghanaians or with the Ghanaian population actually contributing to that decision making. It's it's a sole decision made by government. Well, again, they are saying Parliament was involved, but we all know Ghana has a political system where the ruling party takes all. So then again, if you go to Parliament, even debating that issue, you're going to come up a winner because the government in power has a majority, and we have opposition that has a minority. When voting is concerned, there's never going to be a point where a government decision put in front of Parliament is going to win with a minority in Parliament. Do I make sense?
Yeah, but the point is, in your view, yeah, I've not gone to Parliament yet. In your view, as an individual, not MPP member, but as an individual, do you agree that we should sell our bauxite to Chinese for 2 billion in exchange of a bond for 100 years?
Well, personally, I think we have the capacity to develop our bauxite industry. We have the capacity to develop any mining industry. Yeah, we can do that because mining has been going on in Ghana for a very long time. And another point of correction, I'm not directly related to the bauxite industry, as in I'm not an expert in the field of bauxite. I'm just interested in conservation and keeping certain parts of Ghana intact. And that's what drove my interest into researching the subject matter.
No, once
On the
once
contrary, I've been
you conduct
involved.
research, in a way you become
Yeah,
an expert. Once you
yeah.
conduct
Well,
research and you become successful, in a way, yeah.
on the contrary, I've been in the exploration games from Ghana before moving to Australia, and somewhat involved in the Australian mining industry as well. Not as a miner, but as a provider and a contractor in terms of civil works and all that. It is somehow I'm directly or indirectly involved, and hence the interest to research into such topics. On your question, whether or not people say it's a good decision to have given the concession to the Chinese for that period of time, I would say no. As a citizen, I would say no. As a party member, I would say no. And my reasons are one, we have the capacity to develop bauxite in Ghana by Ghanaians, run by Ghanaians. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have the capacity to develop the industry by Ghanaians. We don't need foreigners to come and develop that, especially when we've been in mining for over 100 years. I mean, we know gold mining has started a very long time before independence in Ghana. And see, we have the capacity. I'll say Ghana has been exporting mining engineers and geological engineers and surveyors and all people related to the mining industry to overseas, especially in Australia. And in fact, we have the capacity to be able to develop our own mines. Therefore, giving a lease for such a long time will not be in the best interest, my view. But then again, we have political reasons why they will do so. So today I'm going to speak solely on my view, what I think should have been done, could have been done, should be done, or can be done.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if you ask me about whether it is a good decision, personally, I'll say no. That's the answer.
So, in your view, what could we do to make it better instead of signing the 100 years agreement?
Well, we have a government that came into power on the mandate of creating jobs. And in a bid to create jobs, I think we should be looking at developing industry in Ghana, which is the number one thing that's going to create the jobs. If we are looking at industry creation, then we have to be looking at local content. So if we are creating industries with majority shareholding from overseas, we know we're not going to get the money. The money is going to be flowing back to the source. And the Ghanaians are just going to be workers on the job. How many jobs is going to be given Ghanaians if we develop one mine? Because we know the mine experts, the mine design, the mine consultation, the environmental study work, everything will be given to foreign companies. So the money will flow back to the source or where these foreign companies are coming from. In a way, we are not creating the jobs. We are not looking at ways of creating the jobs ourselves, if I make sense.
Okay, so Etiwa bauxite. I know you've done a lot of research about the Etiwa bauxite. Can you brief us on some of your findings and what you think some of the decisions that the government took that are not in favor of Ghanaians? Can you elaborate on it here for us?
Yeah, well, I looked at subject matter extensively, and I've come up with so many things that I didn't know, and I think a lot of people don't know or don't have the right information or accurate information on the subject matter, and that's why it's a bit of a concern to me to come up and try and see how much do people really know about these things. And in my studies, I found that a lot of people that I asked didn't really have any information about these things. Well, we heard government was hedging or went into a barter deal with China to give us $2 billion for infrastructure, year of roads. And in return, we gave a certain proportion of our bauxite reserves to the Chinese in order to get that money. That's all we know, but nobody really knows the terms and conditions of it, what we were supposed to barter for that, how much of the resources we were supposed to barter for the $2 billion. So that sort of drove my mind back to what's really happening here and what can we find out about this issue. Well, my findings were we have three concessions that we are going to give out. And the three concessions they are we have Awasu, we have Nyinehini, and we have Atiwa, Atiwa region, the enclave. Well, the total reserve is 900 million tons, metric tons, I'd say. Break it into the three concessions. We have about 60 million tons in Awaso. We have 700 million tons in Nyinehini, and we have 150 million tons, approximately 160 million tons. They are saying the numbers are not accurate in the Atwa region. Mind you, Awasu is already being mined, so we know the Awasu bauxite is being mined for some time now, so it's nothing new. If the capacity is there to expand it, then obviously it's going to be expanded to its full potential. The Nyinehini we know it's not being mined. We had a lot of issues with Nyinehini, Exxon Cubic, Mahama, the Mahamas and leases being given over a couple of days before elections and all the rest of it. We have the details of those cases as well, if anybody would like to find. I think I've sent you all the details of those cases and the outcome of the court ruling in regards to those matters. So that is the three concessions that they are hoping to give out in terms of the barter deal. Now, Nyinahini is the largest concession with the largest deposit. So that's where we are thinking they'll be mining. And Nyinahini is not a virgin forest because I know we've done timber in there. A lot of people have gone through the forest and extracted logs and other materials. I'm not quite sure whether the Nyinahini region is being overtaken by Galamsey people, as we know. Ntimi nkasa about that one. All I know is it is part of the three concessions that's been given over. My point then is, out of the 900 million tons, no, we are giving out to the Chinese as a barter deal. No, I'm told we are giving out 25% of the total value for that 2 billion. I'm not quite sure what 25% of 900 million tons actually at today's market value per tonnage of bauxite is worth in terms of 25% of that being extracted. Again, would have to do the numbers. The mathematicians would have to do the numbers to calculate 25% of 900 million tons, and we come up with a figure. And whether that figure is actually worth $2 billion, then is the question you asked before. And that's why I'm probably saying we don't know the price of bauxite per ton in the next 50 years. So if we are pegging the price of bauxite, or we are pegging a percentage of bauxite as against $2 billion now, what would the price be in the next 25 years or 50 years? And would that be worth the 2 billion? If it's a barter deal, at any point in time, the cost, the value of the money we got should be equal to the value of the extraction any company is going to be taking out of our
Before
reserves.
before
If I
before you
make
continue, before you continue,
mm,
25% of 900 million tons is 225 million tons. 225 million tons. Yeah,
so
you can go ahead.
225 million tons, you are the expert. 225 million times today's tonnage price, world market price, that will give you the figure.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So whether that figure is really it's a bad deal, I don't know. You'd have to tell us. That's what I want Ghanaians to debate. I want Ghanaians to have a debate on the matter. That we don't just leave it in the hands of the politicians to make such decisions on our behalf.
Yeah, hello.
Again, so going on when you're doing your figures before you come up with your figures, going on, that's the interesting part. So we have 700 million tons in one concession and 150 million tons in another. Now, my interest area is the Atiwa region. The deal is done. Part of the money is being given Ghana. So obviously Ghana is going to go ahead with its part of the bargain. But again, let's do the maths. 25% of 900 million tons is going to be extracted over a lease period of 100 years. And we are expected to be mining 10 to 50 million tons every year. So if you do the maths and you get the figures, you multiply that by 100 years at the rate of extraction of 10 to 15 million tons a year, then you know how quick we're going to shoot through the reserve. And whether the 25% is an accurate figure, then we'll be able to ascertain. I'm not an expert in mathematics, so I can't tell you how that's going to pan out. But I just want you to sort of see where the barter deals fall short, whether we give it enough to get the money we've gotten, or could we have asked for more money to give the percentage of natural resources that we gave out. So that is the subject matter for everybody to look at and discuss amongst yourselves and your platform, your various platforms. So Atiwa I've During my research, I found out that Atiwa was actually reserved in 1926. So Atiwa Reservation was mapped in 1926. It predates Ghana. Ghana got independence in 1957. So we had this research. That's so the colonial masters knew about the reserves in Ghana years before this matter is coming up. But the Atiwa was gazetted in 1926 as a reserve. Actually, it's an internationally recognized reserve worldwide. So it's not just about Ghana. It's been reserved since 1926, and that's my interest area. Whether a reserve that is being, put on hold for that long, they don't want people to go into log. They haven't allowed people in to go in to do anything other than keep it as a natural reserve and keep all the ecosystems in it intact. Again, I found out that Atiwa it's a reserve that is the only intact reserve in the whole of West Africa, actually, because the reserve flows from Guinea all through, what do you call it? It flows from Guinea all the way down to Ghana. And during my research, I found out that the Guinea areas is being logged and mined, and certain portions of it is not intact. But the Ghana section of it is intact, and that's what brought my attention to the fact that, okay, are we going to trade off a national heritage that's been reserved since 1929 because we need $2 billion now? And then I asked myself the question: 2 billion. We went for the euro bonds, and within a couple of weeks, we were able to raise $2.5 billion. In COVID-19, we were able to go back to the IMF and raise $1 billion with no conditions. So whether or not it's justified to trade a national reserve that's been reserved since 1929 for $2 billion is the question that drove my attention to the whole Atiwa saga. So that's where we are.
Okay, so you don't agree with the government that they should sell our bauxite for 100 years. Now, Richmond, if I may ask, the people in Etiwa have heard that they've started some earthworks now. They have started clearing the vegetation to start construction and possibly mining. Are you privy to that information?
Yes, in my investigation again, like I'm not a scientist, but my curiosity actually has made me a scientist in some shape or form. In my investigation into the bauxite deal, I spoke to a few people who were directly involved or indirectly involved. Some people, an expert from Australia was called to Ghana. He's a Ghanaian, but was called to Ghana to give his expert advice on aluminium development in Ghana. Well, what the government is saying is, or was saying at the time, was that they wanted to develop an aluminium industry in Ghana to create jobs. So in the bid to doing that, there were experts called in, and these experts were the ones that formulated a company called Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation. In short, it's called GearDeck. And the CEO of that company is called one Mr. Michael Ansa. He heads that um, GearDeck. So the whole aim was to trade off um, the bauxite reserves in order to develop an aluminium company, which government will have a 35% stake in. So in my research, I spoke to the expert that was involved in formulating or consulting to that group, Ghana Integrated Aluminium Corporation. And he said that there was ongoing feasibilities being done, risk assessments being done on ecology, water bodies in the area, and a whole lot of other species that they found in the area. And until that research was confirmed, or the feasibility or the numbers were confirmed, that it wasn't viable for me to pursue any rigorous discussion on the matter, because all I'm going to get is people who come back and say, we haven't done the studies yet. We haven't even ascertained whether it's an area that could be mined successfully or could not be mined successfully, in order for me to push up my matter. But then, in the bid of calling people and finding out what was going on, we did find out, and I posted some of the photos. I think you might have some of the photos, that exploration activities are already begun in the area. Here's a question. We already know that the area was mapped it was mapped in 1926. So we definitely know there's a bauxite reserve. That 150 million metric ton confirmation or estimated amount is not a research that is done quite recently. Actually, it's been done between the last 50 years, I'm told. So they know that the reserves are there. So there wasn't any point for government to send in exploration team to go and find out whether the reserves were there. And is where we come in. That, look, if we are going to save that part of the forest, the only intact forest in the whole West Africa, then maybe we should have waited for the feasibility reports to come out. The conservation guys to come out with their reports. The water guys should come out with their reports. We have a team. We had a team that did a research in 2006 called the Ghana Water Resources, and they came up to say that the amount of people depending on water in the enclave, mining will be a detriment to the area. We have other bodies, the USA. We got another body called what's the name here? US Forest Services. They did a research in 2019, so it's quite recent, and they come up and said it wasn't viable to mine the area or do any mining activity in the area at all. We have another report which I think I sent you by USFS. That's a detailed report. It's actually a detailed research report, and that's giving the reasons why they think the place was not very good to mine, in terms of the damages that was going to be sustained if the place was mined. So we have detailed information stating that we shouldn't go in there at all or do anything there at all, because of the cost of what we stand to lose in return for the money we are getting. Here's a story, Solo. We've got a national park that's been reserved since 1929. And it says it's the only one of three of intact forest reserves in the whole of West Africa. And it says it's an internationally recognized priority in terms of ecosystems. It is hydrologically important to the world. The biodiversity there can fetch us a lot of money. We have three main water sources in the area as well. Three river systems called the Ayensu River, the Brim River, and the Densu River. You are into mining, so you know this. And you are into gold mining, and you know how the Galamsey guys have made all these water bodies undrinkable in Ghana. So we have 5 million people depending on these three water bodies in the enclave. That's just the Atiwa area. I don't know about Yinehini. I haven't done any research in Yinehini to find out how many water bodies or ecosystems exist within the Yinehini region. We also know that there is over 1,000 plus species, new species, and out of that 1,000 plus species, I think 5% of the species is on the endangered list within the area. So it's not just the drinking water serving 5 million people. We know there's plant species that need to be preserved there. We know there are frog species that were found there when the US guys were doing their research in 2019, and a whole lot of other things that have been found in the region. And the advice was that that place as ecotourism would have been the best income earner, because if we reserve that part for ecotourism, then it's a sustainable development. We can build hotels to it, we can build restaurants to it, we can then develop sightseeing within it, whether it's trekking, tracking, or whatever, hiking, or cable car systems, or whatever you call it. So within that 100 years of leasing that area to whoever wins it, I think the cost or the income that could be generated from this place 400 years or within that 100-year period will be much, much more greater than developing an aluminium industry. And so again, I must say, there's no country that single-handedly become rich from its mineral deposit. Otherwise, Congo would have been the first country to become the richest country within the African continent. So the fact that we want to create jobs, 35,000 jobs for $2 billion at a lease of 100 years, then brings a question whether the barter was fair. But yes, going back to your question, we have evidence that exploration activities has already started. There's road construction going into the forest, even though we haven't had any gazetted reports saying it is viable to mine, it's not viable to mine, it's too risky to mine. Should we mine or should we not mine?
Aholu. Listeners and viewers, Mr. Richmond Aholu is in the mining profession in Australia, and he is a contractor to the mining companies. He has followed these bauxite deals in Ghana for a long time, and he has shared, his views on what he thinks should be done, should have been done, and we can do henceforth. Rich, thank you so much, and then we appreciate your time. At this point, I think we have passed our time, and then we will end this conversation here. Another time, we will invite you again to come and give us some brief about the bauxite issues in Ghana. We appreciate your time once again. Yeah, Enyuanumadofo, sani amuti wabeka na dwen. Also one jintum say Ghana, itumi edi bauxite. Emma China for for 100 years. Sena de bia mekan me menya profit. Nanso de mehu de manui ebeka. Me manu ne ha me pa. Me hu kwa de na enye na emboa o man na kwabena usu me meka. Me kan so a ebi musa menye. So sena mekan next week we are bringing a presidential candidate, Mr. Jacob Oseyeboa, aka Joy. He was the presidential candidate in 2012 and 2016. I think he will go again in 2020. We are yet to know, because now the coronavirus has spoiled everything in Ghana. So we are yet to know. So Joy will join us next week. His expertise, professional expertise, let's put politics aside. Professional expertise is in data management. So he will come and talk a little bit about our new planned voters register. Then we will have Sami Jemfi. We are working hard to get Sami Jemfi on board. Sami Jemfi will also come and express his views on the reasons why we shouldn't compile the new register in the first place. Because he thinks it's credible. We have a credible register. We've spent a lot of money to compile the register. And that's the same register we used in 2012 to elect our president, ex-president Mahama. And then also we use the same register to elect our president, the current president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It's a valid, register according to him. And even furthermore, we used that register just last year to elect our current assembly members. We used it for the referendum, which ended up with 5 additional regions that we have now. So he will also come, and Sami Jemfi, I think he performed credibly today on Adum TV. He is the National Communications Director for NDC, which is the largest opposition party in Ghana. So we will have a presidential candidate and the communications officer of the largest opposition party in Ghana on our show to talk about the new register, whether we should compile it or not. So that will be next week. Next 2 weeks, we will have 2 firemen in Ghana. If I say firemen, those who speak their minds. One is for the register, one is against the register. And they are all presidential candidates too. So next 2 weeks, on June 30th, June 6th, next week is May 30th. So next 2 weeks, June 6th, we are going to have Mr. Kofi Palu. Is the presidential candidate for LPG, Someha, Nesomeha. That is Kofi Palu. Then we will have Dr. Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress, APC, the founder, leader, and the presidential candidate for APC. He will also be here with us. All will come on the screen. It's not just audio, but video. Video debate with these 2 great men. And then they will express their views on whether we should compile the register or not. So these are the 2 few announcements that I'll give for now. I think next week I'll bring the schedule for next 3 weeks and then next month. Today, we've talked a little bit about corruption. We've talked a little bit about bauxite. Fellow Ghanaians, let's be serious. It is about time we put politics aside and face the facts. We can't continue like this. President Akufo-Addo assured us. That's why some of us, we followed him. And to me, I followed him blindly because I didn't know who he was. There's a saying that if you want to know somebody's character, give him power. Give the person power and you will see the true colors in the person. I always say that if President Akufo-Addo didn't win, some of us, we would even stop going to church. You bet you sorry call because ni on say Nyankopon pegana for asem. Because he himself President Mahama said in the sasso corrupt president ebinsi that was our belief, and some of them can and to some of us yadwini. President Mahama osi hospitals, osi schools, or ye roads, or ye whole lot of things. Ghanaians are who mo boy ya fan channel, yes a call yempel. Ye hear Messiah Akufo-Addo. Messiah also no de oba. Wo say obese wo ye rich e wo na ban mu a private sector. And na yem bi say wo say na point is no. Hotels akese, edan akese, investments akese ebi mu ye obi ana sebiota frache party ni wo opposition kapre ya bom tokro kra ebi ndar botum. Kapra ya bom tokro $1 crandon bottom and now to ska within 3 years. Esi hotels, a tokas akese, esi danya kese, a japadia kese. Now President Akufo-Addo ebisane say corruption now can say wow so be corrupt to na ban mu no. Uni space e wona ban mu no. Efa hefa. Efa anasa wo be president ana owrefi de okan na ye wo sunsun bi wo Jubilee House wa obe president pe na refi your kind nyina. Is that what is happening now? President Akufo-Addo, what the Ghana for him when it comes to corruption? Obi esuro so be kan me skoromusu. I will tell you, you have failed in terms of corruption, the financial sector, creation of job. You have collapsed jobs.
Now, millions of Ghanaians are home. And those people were working. When you became the president, they were working. Now you came, you collapsed their companies, they are home. Their money, some people have put their money at the banking sector. You came and you said you are cleaning the banking sector. Their money is still there now. The money is still there. Where is the money? Where is the money? You are politicizing everything, and then anybody who speaks out, the person is in trouble. President Akufo-Addo, we didn't vote for you, we didn't campaign for you for this. We didn't campaign for you for this. You have failed in terms of corruption. PDS, Kenny VNG, Aboboya, excavators, 500 excavators, lost in the country. What is the land size of Ghana? What are the excavators? They are still in the bush. You people gave the excavators back to the Galamsey people. And you are lying to the whole world that you are fighting corruption, you are fighting Galamsey. What are you fighting, President Akufo-Addo? President Akufo-Addo, what are you fighting? What corruption are you fighting in Ghana? And people can talk. Everybody is afraid. Where is Reverend Marty? Enyansafwe mohe. Enyansafwe mohe. Sisi Reverend Marty. Reverend Marty wohe. Wodane, wakosha hefa. Piebra. Never criticize Akufo-Addo say the oye no. Enkoyi. So to criticize President Mahama, what is preventing you from criticizing President Akufo-Addo? Call yourself man of God. A man of God, you should be truthful. You should be just. You should be sincere. So if you have all these men of God in Ghana and they are hiding behind the truth, then where are we going? We should be serious as a country. This is sad. You take bauxite from a Ghanaian, you give it to Chinese. The Ghanaian has passed through all the processes because his brother was a president. You take it from him, give it to foreigners to operate. For them to bond us 100 years, and because of that, Chinese can do every shit in Ghana. Nobody can do anything. You arrest Ghanaian, you put him to jail. You arrest Ghanaian, you take him to court, prosecute, and then the next day the person is in jail. You arrest a Chinese because of 100 years bond and $2 billion. You arrest a Chinese on the same similar offense, then you leave the Chinese to go scot-free. Are we ruling the country? President Akufo-Addo, are you in charge? Nana Akufo-Addo, are you in charge? I'm asking you. I will reserve the rest for the next weeks. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. And then maybe
you talking about this. What about the Asians taking over Africa? Oh my goodness. I made the comment.
You talked about
Ethiopia is one of the largest recipients of Chinese aid in the world. Ethiopia also has a female president now. Shout out to the queen. But guess what? Ethiopia better do something fast because they are becoming over dependent on Chinese support. And why is the Chinese taking over Africa? Because they studied what the white man did and they said we're going to do it better than the white man. They are coming into Africa for 4 reasons. Reason number 1, the China man is coming into Africa. China is overpopulated. I was just there a year ago in January of 18. There's too many of them. They got over 2 billion people in one country. America is only, 500 million? They got 2 billion. China is looking for unexploited lands where they can send their excess poor people. Africa is perfect. That's number 1. We got to reduce the population of China, so we're going to send all of our unwanteds to Africa. Same thing Britain did when they founded the 13 colonies. Second reason China taking over Africa, look at all the poor Africans. Can you imagine a better place to go and open up your factories and businesses where you can pay people even less than what you pay them in China? There's no minimum wage in many African countries for foreign businesses. You can exploit African labor better than you can exploit Taiwanese and Vietnamese labor. So the second reason they're in Africa, because guess what? I keep more of the profit. Third reason they in Africa is to take over the resources, just like the white man. That's why they're giving out all these loans. These are not grants. Let me be clear. The money that China is giving Africa are not grants. They are loans. You might say, why is China giving Kenya more money than they know Kenya can pay back? You follow me? Why are they giving a poor country like Ethiopia more money? Because they don't want you to pay it back.
Right.
Because when you look at the contract, guess what it says? If you default on this loan,
we keep
all your
land.
tea fields are mine. All your copper mines are mine. All your oil reserves are mine. And guess what? You already have an African nation that has defaulted on the loan. I think it was Kenya. But don't quote me. As a result of the default, China now owns all of a particular resource in that country. And the fourth reason that they are in Africa is to make the Africans dependent on them culturally, intellectually, educationally, and otherwise, because China plans to colonize Africa the same way the white man did. And I'm hurting by saying this, y'all. You know why I'm hurting? Because Patrice Lumumba died for Africa to be free. Thomas Sankara died for Africa to be free. Steve Biko died for Africa to be free. Chris Hani died for Africa to be free. Amilcar Cabral died for Africa to be free. And after all the blood that has been spilled, Dedan Kimathi died for Africa to be free. And after all the blood has been spilled, you mean to tell me 60 years after we kicked the white man out, you want to roll out the red carpet to the Chinese?
It's like slavery all over again.
It's slavery all over. Oh, but it's different now because guess what the Chinese are doing? They're adding a little twist. They're building military bases and police stations everywhere they set up shop. I'm going to be interviewed by Djibouti magazine next week. They contacted me last night. They want to interview me because Djibouti is the first African country that has a Chinese police station. Can I ask you a question? If you are the president of Wakanda,
Right.
you are a sovereign nation. I want to come and do business in your sovereign nation. Can you please tell me why you allowing me to bring my own police? You are a sovereign nation. Part of being sovereign means what? You control the military. But Africa is letting China bring their own police. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen. The Chinese as disrespect, and by the way, they are as disrespectful in Africa as they are here.
Right.
So when you read these stories in New York about the sister being beat up in the nail salon,
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
they do the same thing in Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, the Chinese think they own it. When you go, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Guess what? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be a conflict. An African is going to get disrespected by a Chinese. It's going to turn into a group conflict, and the Chinese military is going to hurt one of our African brothers and sisters. It's going to turn into a civil war.
Yeah.
And then China going to send a whole army in, and they're going to colonize that whole country. And they're going to do just like America does. We just making your country safe for democracy.